Welcome in to the 48 Minutes podcast on Believe. I'm Ross Geiger, the former NBA video coordinator, and I'm joined alongside Bruce Bernstein, our four-time Emmy Award winner who spent more than 3 decades at ESPN producing NBA shows, SportsCenter, and soaking up knowledge from the best two panelists in the business. Also joining us is the two-time Emmy Award winner, Michael Worldby Freer, who's a senior writer at Stat Factor, specializing in writing advanced statistical NBA reports for various announcers across the league. This is episode number 180, the From Downtown episode, as the three-point line made its debut during the 1979-1980 NBA season. And since then, fellas, the rest has been history because, boy, have the three-point shots ramped up since then. Now, with the regular season set to begin on October 21st, we continue our series of two-a-day shows. They'll be shorter, and we'll release 3 new shows each week leading up to opening night. Each show will feature one team from the East and one team from the West. Please note, we'll be going alphabetically, so no need to read into any type of order. So let's keep it rolling with the Indiana Pacers from the East and the Minnesota Timberwolves from the West. Starting out with the Pacers, they are coming off a tremendously impressive season, finishing 4th out East with a 50-32 record, falling just 1 win short of an NBA championship last season. What a difference just one offseason can make, Bruce. The Pacers are going to look much different next season, aren't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, Tyrese Halliburton, he'll probably miss most, if not all, of the season. And Miles Turner is going to be taking his talents to Milwaukee. Yes. So he's out of the mix there. Pascal Siakam's still around. I'm assuming they're still going to try and play that lightning fast style, which really served them well last season, And it's funny when you look back to that game 7 against OKC. I mean, Halliburton had 9 points in the first 7 minutes of that game, and then he went down with the Achilles. I mean, that could have been a monumental upset if he maybe had been able to, play that entire game and not get hurt. So, Indiana Pacers fans are just, kind of a big old, what could have been type of thing. He's impossible to replace. And Turner's going to be tough to replace too. But, Jay Huff comes on board. He's more of a stretch 3, although Turner could shoot threes. But Jay Huff, it really is a stretch 3. And look, the Pacers and the Celtics, they both kind of find themselves in similar situations. They're both taking a step backwards this season. So, I don't know if the Pacers are going to really be good for much more than about 42, 43 wins this season.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them for sure. Worldby, what's your outlook on this group?
I'm going to take the different view. I think they're going to rise up and maybe not necessarily be a contender, but I think they're going to be I don't know if they can get to a top 4 seed, but I think they're going to surprise people with their success. I think they're going to miss Halliburton. There's no question about it. They really suffered when he was off the court during the playoffs. They scored about 17 points per 100 possessions more when he was on the court than off. So obviously he is a valuable player to the Pacers. I do think they have, a whole training camp, a whole offseason to get themselves ready. And I think Rick Carlisle is, arguably the best coach in the league. And I think he's going to get them ready to go. As Bruce mentioned, their style is up and down. They led the league, or they have been in the top 5 in ball movement and player movement each of the last, 5 years. So obviously with Halliburton, that helps. But I think that is going to remain the same. Now, Siakam is a all-star. Siakam is a borderline superstar with his numbers that he puts up there and his leadership ability. They need some other guys to step up. One unsung thing I want to see out of it probably isn't going to amount to much, but I really would like to see James Wiseman have a good, healthy season. He's on board with them this year. He's probably not going to see a ton of minutes. I just want to see the guy healthy and be productive in some way. He's had so much to deal with his injuries, and he's still out there trying. I'm really rooting for him to be a productive player on this roster.
And, it's not like there aren't some guys that are still ballers on that team. I mean, they had a lot of guys that could play. I mean, Andrew Nembhard, he's going to be expected to take a big step up this year, and I think he's more than capable of doing it. And the man that Russ has nicknamed Benny Math,
Yes.
Benedict Mathurin. That guy's just a bucket waiting to happen every night. So, I would, and I think, Russ, didn't you predict him to possibly be a 20-point scorer this year?
Yeah, I think he could be upwards to about 23 points a game, just given his ability to score the basketball, the amount of shots he's going to get and touches this year in comparison to last year with Halliburton and Miles Turner off the floor for the Pacers. Someone's going to have to take some of those shot attempts, and I think Benny Math is the guy that can definitely make up some of the math and help, find the equation for this group offensively. But I'm with both of you guys. It sure seems like the Pacers' best chances to compete next year will be if Coach Carlisle elects to play a little bit smaller, go small ball, race up and down the floor with maybe Pascal Siakam and at times Obi Toppin playing some significant minutes at the 5 position, really force the other team's hands to adjust to the Pacers style of play and not vice versa, just given kind of their 5-man on the roster as of now. I mean, I'm with World B. I really like to see James Wiseman play much better and get an opportunity to show what he can do if healthy. But I think role pieces are going to have to take a back seat, and they're going to have to utilize some of these current rotational players in different positions next season.
But hey, by the way, real quick, we talk about the Pacers are going to take a step back. They're all hurt, and we've given the Knicks enough pub over the summer here for all their moves and what's going to happen. Then the Pacers have been the better team than the Knicks. The Knicks still have to figure out a way to beat the Pacers in the playoffs. They knocked them out the last 2 years. So, I know Halliburton's a big part of their team, but the Knicks haven't been able to solve this team, period. There's a lot of players they haven't been able to take care of. So, the Pacers are not going to be – I think they're going to end up with a better record than the Celtics. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And other guys that I'm looking at here on this Pacers team that they're going to need to have really step up and improve play is first Andrew Nembhard. He's going to have to be more of a playmaker this year. Obviously, at times he showcased that, but other times he was able to defer and just kind of sit back as Halliburton did most of that operation. With Halliburton out, all eyes will be on Nembhard to really step up with the playmaking ability, bringing the ball up as the primary ball handler for this group. And Indiana will absolutely need a big year from Benny Math to help offensively, as I had stated earlier. But, watching this Pacers group right out of the gates is going to give us a good feel for what Carlisle is trying to accomplish. I think the first 20 games or so, we're really going to see kind of what he's targeting and hoping this team can adjust to. It might take some time for them to adjust, but as you said, Bruce, this is such a great coach and Coach Rick Carlisle that I think with time and with more exposure, he's got the team and the roster in place. Very intelligent team-first guys that are willing and able to adjust on the fly. So it might take a 20-game sample, but I think eventually this team's going to figure something out. And as World B say, I think they're going to be a team that could surprise some people. Now, next up, we've got the Minnesota Timberwolves. Last year, they finished up 49-33 after making a major shakeup at the start of last season. This offseason, they made no real big shakeups. All they did was really extend their current core group of guys. And this is now a roster that no longer, has any doubts of whether or not they're going to be around long term. Julius Randle was re-signed. Naz Reid was re-signed. And truthfully, I think moves like that within itself will make it a huge difference for this team heading into this next season. And I think with the talent that they have on this roster, they can play with anyone in a 7-game series come playoff time. But enough about what I think here. World B, what are your thoughts on the Wolves heading into the next season?
Well, last season was one of the few predictions I had right before the season started.
That's true.
I said they would make the conference finals. They're the only team in the West to make the conference finals the last 2 years, the last 2 seasons. So, and they're all in with their starters. This is what they're about. You mentioned they're getting older. Some of the guys are getting older, like Conley and stuff, and Gobert. But they're entrusting everything into that group. And last season, only the Knicks starters played more minutes than Minnesota starters. Everything was about them, and there's good reason for that. And now you have Naz Reid coming back. They have the rarity of having Dante DiVincenzo for a second season. That doesn't happen anymore. He's usually one and done with his teams. So they they won 49 games last season, and this group struggled in what we call those clutch games where the margin's like 5 points with 5 minutes to go. They were just 20 and 26. They played a league high 46 clutch games. If you flip that around, geez, what kind of season did they really could have had? I think their point differential was the equivalent of about a 55-win team, not a 49-win team. So there's a lot to like about this team. They're just in such a really tough conference. They don't want any injuries or whatever, but their starting five matches up with just about anybody in the league.
Mm-hmm. Bruce?
World Bean mentioned that, they had the point differential of a 55-win team, but they only won 49. Well, that tells me that they underachieved. Okay. There were game and they were a poor team in the clutch. We know their defense is solid. They're always, that's always going to be there. But, I'm wondering, I think Anthony Edwards, although he finished, tied for 7th in the MVP voting last year, this dude's got a lot to prove this season. Because I don't know if he can win big. I know he's a volume shooter. He's a volume scorer. He's an all-star. He's an MVP candidate. But I don't know. I mean, I want to see something else from him. I think, somebody like that, he probably needs to take a few less shots, because even though he does put up huge numbers, his shooting percentages aren't really that great. He's like, you look at his numbers. I mean, he's nowhere close to 50% from the floor, or maybe he's getting near 40% from threes, but I don't think he's there yet. And look, they do have a supporting cast. I mean, Julius Randle is a baller. I mean, he can get you 20. Dante DiVincenzo can heat up. And you mentioned World B, Michael Conley, who turns 38 in October. I mean, the door is open for Rob Dillingham to get a shot this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on the team last year. It was a number 8 overall pick. He really didn't play much of he only played 49 games, but in 10 minutes of playing time per game, he was getting 4.5 points. So, I mean, this guy looks like someone who can get you some buckets, and his ball handling skills are good. So maybe he's going to be able to, if he gets a chance to kind of spread his wings a little bit, get himself into the paint, get some good looks for his teammates and as well as himself. Because look, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is gone. Conley should not even be playing back-to-backs this year. No. So, at his age, either play the front end or the back end. Don't play both, and then put Dillingham in there, give him a chance to play. I mean, I think, that you drafted him high, time to unleash him a little bit. So, if they were in the Eastern Conference, I think we'd call them a premier team. But in the West right now, they're like, in that 3, 4, 5, 6 mix right now. So, they need to be better in the clutch. And I think, I want to see Anthony Edwards become more of a leader as opposed to just a star player.
Yeah, great points there, Bruce. And I couldn't agree more with you. I think Anthony Edwards, I've said on a previous show that, I think he'll be in contention to win an MVP this year. But I think the reason he could be in that spot to be in the consideration for MVP is if he's able to, like you said, maybe pass up some shots and create more for others. And that's something he's definitely probably going to be asked to do at times because, as you mentioned, Mike Conley is soon to be 38 years old, and he's really the only legitimate point guard on this roster. So if I'm being picky, that's my main concern this year, and I'm pretty sure that was my main concern with this team last year because, can Mike Conley stay healthy and continue to contribute when he's needed the most? And that comes in the playoffs because come playoff time, I think you do need a point guard like Mike Conley out there on the floor against some of these teams in a 7-game series. But last year, Mike Conley took a significant step back, playing less than 25 minutes a game and only averaged 8.2 points a game, which were both career lows. He had always averaged over 10 points a game and much more than 25 minutes a game. So father time is certainly catching up to him here. And the jury, as you mentioned, is still out on Rob Dillingham. Don't have concerns yet, but he really has to prove something this sophomore season in the NBA because they traded up to get him. They moved picks to San Antonio in order to secure their draft rights to Rob Dillingham. They're only playing 49 games when you have a 37-year-old Mike Conley being your starting point guard. Not a great sign, if you ask me, even though they did acquire Dante DiVincenzo in a trade as well. But really expect more from Dillingham. Really want to see what he can do this year. If Dillingham can't step up, I think this is going to be a team that utilizes Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle a lot more this season as playmakers. And those are two guys that can really play make for others and has shown that throughout their career in the NBA. They just haven't done it consistently. But maybe this will be the year they'll both be unleashed to, play make a little bit more than usual. And on our next 48 minutes to a day, we'll examine the Miami Heat and the New Orleans Pelicans. We'll hope you'll join us as we'll still keep you up to date, but go shorter than 48 as we hit every team. Take care, everyone.